FOMO or fear of missing out is a feeling that you need to get something even if it's not important. In many games, it's usually tied to the Battle Pass or Steam. Roblox games normally don't creating that much FOMO. This is before I played Creature of Sonaria for 4 months. I started to realize how heavily the game relies on FOMO to survive, and I want to share my thought about this. This is just my opinion based on my experience. Before we get into the video, you might asking how a game about catching and raising a creature creates more FOMO than a modern Battle Pass. To understand that, you first need to look at the massive problem in Creature of Sonaria. Something I like to call is the insufferable economy. The entire game revolves around single currency, mush or mushroom. Now, usually adding a secondary currency to guide the content and force a grind, which is where the issues started to appear. But in Creature of Sonaria, they prove that you don't even need a secondary currency to make your players suffer. The way you earn merch in a game sounds simple on paper: complete tasks, claim your daily reward, or just survive. Each regional quest gives 4 merch per task with 6 tasks per region, so that is 24 merch per region. You also earn 5 merch every 2 minutes just by surviving. In total, you have 150 merch per hour. This is only in the perfect scenario. In practice, even 5 regions per hour is unrealistic because the eat and drink quest is always going to slow you down no matter what you do. Even if you somehow manage to clear 10 regions in an hour, you only earn around 390 merch, still far from enough for the gacha, especially since it is pure RNG, meaning you are unlikely to get the creature that you want in that gacha. Of course, there are a few ways that you can unlock creatures, like you can grind daily coin that took ages. You can hunt for the artifact creatures, which I'm not recommend you to do that. Or you can do the most common method in the game, which is trading. Now let's look at the absolute simplest way you can bypass the grind in this game, which is, of course, is trading. In a normal game economy, it's straightforward. A seller has the product that you want, you pay the price and you get the item. It's simple, it's easy, it's daily routine for everybody. But what most people forgot to ask is, where do these products actually come from? Take a quick look around the trade name in Creature of Sonaria and you will note that something is off. A lot of those creatures aren't even obtainable in the main game anymore. They are the leftover from the previous limited event and now being traded by the player who just want merch. Now, this seems normal enough until you look closely at the price. Even 500 merch take around 90 minutes of just straight up grinding. I do acknowledge that some of the creatures or items in the trade name have a decent amount of reasonable price, but for most of the creatures in the event, the prices are pretty absurd. Since the event only returns once a year, limited supply of creatures usually got the price higher and higher. So here is the story from my experience. I won a Melanta, which is a monthly mission creature from the November. On the website at the time, I saw the trade is around 7,000 merch, which is okay, and I already have saved enough. So I thought it would be an easy trade since I don't see anyone using it. Unfortunately, it wasn't as I expected. After around 9 to 10 failed offer, I finally got a Melanta, but the price now is around 10,000 merch and a revive token. I instantly asked the trader about the price. How can it increase to 10k in less than a day? His response is just the demand suddenly increased, which is strange because despite all the time I spent playing the game before and after the trade, I barely see anyone using it, like at all. Some of you might think that I'm just over exaggerating and this is not relevant to the topic, but this broken economy creates a massive realization to me is that flipping a limited creature is far more profitable than play the actual game or grind the game. If the limited creature is available, it's almost always worth the grind for it since it will likely to increase the value later on. Some of you might argue again that I am forgot about the daily login bonus or the extra daily merge, but in reality they barely have at all. The daily login is a miserable way to grind, and the daily merge not help as much as you thought it should be. The real issue of the game is the progression loop. If you want most of the creature or items, you can't simply earn them through normal gameplay. You have to participate in the event after event because that is the only time the creature or the item are available. Miss an event and your only alternative is the player market where you will face the inflated price. I'm not accusing that most players are overpricing, but since the method of attaining much in the main game is just not support for both you and me, it is safe to say that it won't end well for either of us if we decide to trading. Because the trading isn't restricted to only creatures, you can potentially trading plushies, palette, or any token. Realistically, you can trade anything for a merge, but as a new player, it's a trap. Let's say that your creature you want is a current Ceres, and the market price is extremely high. You essentially have two options. One, you can grind a standard map task for days, weeks, or months until you finally scrap together enough merge, but by that time you do it, you have burned yourself a lot of time because the base economy is designed to waste your time. Second, you can grind for the event that currently online, which will always happen to be an event, and grind for anything that exists in that particular event, and once the event ends, you flip them into the profit, which is usually merge. Then when the next event drops, you will do all over again until you got enough merge to afford your creatures. This is the definition of FOMO. Every event is a tic-tac clock. If you don't grind it right now, that creatures or item is gone for the entire year, and the moment the event vanishes, the new players will buy those items since they just enter the game and they just want to try something new. You are forced to grind the event out of fear of the future regret. The developer knows exactly what they are doing, which is why Creature of Sonaria is caught in the never-ending cycle of back-to-back events or just a releasing of new creatures. Now, some of you might argue that this constant event give a newer player a chance to catch up, and I completely disagree with that argument. Learning any game takes time. Like if you have, for example, 40 hours in Counter-Strike 2, you still make a basic mistake. The same can also apply here. Even if the beginner understanding the basics of Sonaria, the event quests are either brutally time-consuming or heavily favor the veteran who already know how to do it faster. Those events don't help the new player progress. They turn them into a depressed customer base for the veteran trader, keeping the broken cycle spinning. But it gets worse. This FOMO doesn't just affect your inventory or your merge, it also affecting the PvP balance of the game. Unlike most of the game, where FOMO is just a cosmetic, Creature of Sonaria locked the gameplay effect started behind the limited event item. Like creatures like Manta or Muxogarax have zero flight regen, making the reindeer plushie almost a must-have if you want to play them. If a creature can't already jump, a dog plushie can even help that creature's double jump, which is extremely strong. The result of this is an unfair advantage of the player with the limited item, and on top of that, the server are often packed with a huge G5 creatures, causing the constant lag and making the game run with the 5 FPS most of the time. Am I being too critical? Maybe a little bit, but look at the evidence that the developer are releasing constant, non-stop event. It is an endless stream of new creatures and returning events to keep the player base trapped on the grinding treadmill. None of this is a coincidence. From the observed currency rate to the relentless barrage of limited events, the developer know exactly what they are doing, and they are trying to maximize the player retention. But what are the real consequences of this economy built in creature of Sonaria? So what are the actual consequences of this never-ending cycle? First, let's look at the player side first. What happened to the community when the seasonal event become permanent features? Three things will happen: extreme burnout, absolute boredom, and totally exhaustion. There is one major detail that I hold back until now, which is every single event in the game is actually the same thing. The outside may be changed, like the text may be changed, but the tedious mechanic never do. Every event drops an exclusive currency. To get it, you either run around a map doing the location-based charge, or you just wait for a daily event quest. And here's the kicker: the daily event quest are your mostly viable source income, because the map draw give you practically nothing, and they are explicitly designed to slow you down, serving as a massive time sink to keep your eyes on the screen. No matter what method you choose, you are forced to repeat the same mind-numbing action over and over again, day after day, just to scrap together enough currency to buy a single item. That is, if someone is willing to trade. And what does this to the game is, it makes the game hollow. The entire gameplay loop is just you grind for whatever valuable on the event shop and then go straight to the trade room. Hopefully someone will buy it. The problem is the trade room is where the fun goods die. You spend hours of just staying still, hoping that someone will buy your item, and I don't think a single person would join a game of survival as a creature and just go straight into the trade room and do nothing for the past 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be this way. Other games on the Roblox know how to handle the limited event without destroying their player base. Let's take Tower Defense Simulator for example. Unlike Sonaria, which make the event feel like a list of chores and you have to do it, TDES expand the core gameplay, like every event add a custom map, team enemies, and unique boss with a familiar mechanic reworked to fit the event. Each event feels like a genuine expansion rather than just another grind. Creatures of Sonaria has all the potential to make it event legendary, but as long as the developer treat the player like the customer on the treadmill, forcing us through poorly designed currency loop, continuously event spam, and a broken trading market, the game will never be healthy. The developer know exactly what they are doing to trap us with this FOMO. From the game perspective, Creature of Sonaria has lost the soul of the survival game. Just compare the limited creatures to the obtainable through a normal gameplay. It say a lot. Even when the event ends, another usually started within 1 or 2 weeks. Players who want new creatures are forced back into the grind, while those who already have them can already relax and trade them. The game has become a non-stop cycle of releasing new creatures with a little change to the core gameplay. Updates like hard mode and aquatic RAM add content, but they didn't fix the underlying issue, which is the game still revolves around limited event reward instead of the survival part. To recap, the game creates FOMO through a constant limited event. New players end up grinding those events just to earn enough merch to trade for the older creatures that can no longer obtain. Many will say that they join the game to chill or just hang out with their friend, which I believe is a copinism, since for both normal and the hard mode map there's pretty much nothing you can do and there's no content on those maps that you can do. Therefore, I don't know where is the fun part even is. Also, you can say that by adding the new event, they can create a content for the game. No, your thought is not correct, because the content that can be obtained only if you play at that time. After that, you only have one option, which is trading. The limited event should be just for fun optional play. It's not supposed to be the main update. I'm also not trying to paint a picture of the creature of Sonaria developer as a villain. They have the resources when it comes to design. Therefore, the creature look fantastic. But my criticism is simply that the game focus has shifted too heavily toward the limited time event content instead of improving the core gameplay of surviving. Whenever you agree or disagree, I hope this video get to the people thinking about the direction of the game is heading, in my opinion of course. Anyway, thanks for watching.